Okay, so I'm terrible at that, but I've noticed that every time I upload something onto YouTube, or sorry, onto Spreaker, it automatically, I immediately get like a uh, notice that something, because I usually start with a song, somebody else's song, of course, and YouTube has this algorithm where it catches everything. Like if you put on 30 seconds of any song, then you'll get like a copyright infringement notice and they won't upload it to YouTube. So that's why I decided to try to play something of my own as an intro, even though I'm terrible at playing guitar. But how does that tie in? This guitar that I have. Here's a little story about Rachael. First of all, today is May 10th, May 11th. I'm sorry, and May 11th, 2019. It's been a year and a month since Rachael died, and so that guitar. Excuse me. The guitar I was just playing is called a Seagull. They're kind of hard to find, and they're one of the only guitar manufacturers where usually if you do find a Seagull guitar, they'll usually be a left-handed option, a left-handed Seagull option. It's a Canadian guitar making company, and when I met Rachael, little backstory. Yeah, so my first guitar was this beautiful Seagull guitar. My first real guitar was this beautiful Seagull guitar. After I had learned how to use it a little bit, this old kind of crappy guitar that I wish I still had, to be honest with you. And but after I learned how to use it a little, I got a Seagull, which is like a $400, $500 guitar. I loved it, and I used to play it a lot. Now I don't play much at all. I've kind of stopped messing with it, but and I remember when I met Rachael, she thought it was very cool that I had this cool Seagull guitar, and when I met her, it was 13 years ago, and I had been clean for 3 years. It was the first 3 years of my life, of my 20s, really, that I had cleaned up in a big way, like completely stopped using, and went back to school, and I was working out all the time and working and like supporting myself. It was a good time in my life, those 3 years. And when I met Rachael, like I had said, I kind of went bonkers. Like a friend of mine had come back from the army, and he wasn't in the greatest place that time in his life. So like I started hanging out with him a little bit, but more of it was about my anxiety about Rachael. Like finally having a chance to date the girl that I'd like desperately been in love with for a year. In love with in a way that felt like I was in love with someone on TV, like someone I never considered that I'd have a chance with her. I really just wanted to be her friend. So like getting in shape and all that had to do with me just maybe like the dream of being noticed by her. So when we started dating, it was pretty heavy for me, and I was so nervous that she would figure me out, like figure out that she was better than me, that I wasn't worthy of her or something, and I just was so filled with anxiety. And like looking back now, I couldn't even. We didn't even do anything. How can I say this? We didn't even what do they call it? Yeah, I wasn't able to sleep with Rachel for the first couple months because of my nerves and because of how much I cared about her. And it was, I found out that it was like a psychological thing I was going through, and it had to do with self-esteem and, just being vulnerable in front of this girl that I felt so high, just thought so highly of. And so, I was very nervous, and I'm not blaming anything because it was just my fault, but I ended up relapsing. During that time, it was around September, like around my birthday. But, so the Seagull guitar that I had originally, during that relapse, it was really bad relapse. It was really bad. I got a check for $3,000 from student loans, just like a check here, $3,000, and I cashed it. I did not deposit it. I cashed it. So I had $3,000 cash, and I relapsed really, really, really hard. And I ended up, my guitar I got rid of. I pawned it. Really shameful to say out loud, but that's what I did. And so my sister had me sectioned. I've told this story before. Section 35. When someone thinks that you're a danger to yourself or somebody else, then you can be lawfully put into a jail or a detox or something that's a combination of the two, which is what my sister did. And so for 30 days, I went away. She saved my life. I would have died. Absolutely. I was on the track to die. And I had called my parents and told them that. I just told them. And I remember after, the relapse was maybe a couple weeks long, but it was hard and heavy. Like, I was using to die. And so I told my parents, and my parents were in Florida. It's kind of a call for help. And I said, listen, I'm going to die. I can't stop. I need help. And instead of them like driving down here or driving up here, putting themselves in danger and going through that, they reached out to my sister, and she, of course, my sister is incredible in so many ways, but she makes great decisions, and she decided to do this thing, and she captained the ship to Section 35 me, and I'm so glad she did. I was away for 30 days. I never would have gone into rehab voluntarily, and if I did, I never would have stayed that long, and that's what it takes, really. It takes at least 30 days for those first 30 days to survive. Even when you get out after 30 days, you're still the risk is so high for relapse. But long story short, Rachel waited for me, and Rachel stayed. It was really remarkable to hear her say that she was going to stick around for me during those 30 days. And when I got out, we started hanging out again, and that's when I realized, like, this is real. She really does care about me, and my life is worth working on. So that's when it began. I got my shit back together. I went back to school, started hanging out with Ray, and I was living in an apartment in Holyoke, and it wasn't safe for me. So I ended up staying with Ray, and it was super temporary in my mind. I did not want to impose myself or anything. We were so brand new. And I remember after, I think 2 months or something went by, and she said, we were sitting together, and she said, so, how did it come up? Something about her lease. She's like, yeah, my lease is coming up soon. And I thought that, the silly way I used to think, I thought that was like a hint for her to tell me, like, you got to move out, man. You've been here for a month, and that's the deal. And so I said, yeah, I know. I've been looking at apartments. And she said, you have? And I said, yeah. I remember it like it was yesterday. It was the best feeling ever to hear these words from her. And she said, so you want to move, or you want apartments for yourself? And I said, yeah. And she says, so you want to move out of here, of like the apartment I was staying at? And I said, yeah, well, it's time. I've been here for a month, I feel like I'm crowding you maybe. I did not feel like I was crowding her, but I just wanted to, my biggest fear was to, stay somewhere that she didn't want me to stay or something. And she said, are you sure? She's like, you don't want to live with me? And I remember her face and the way she said it, and thinking like, this can't be real. Like, does this girl, is she unaware of like how powerful she is to me? Or like how much I worship her? Apparently not, because it was one of the first times I had seen her vulnerable. Like, you don't want to live with me, meaning like you're looking to move out. And I remember saying, well, I explaining it like, well, no, I just don't want to like impose or. And she said, oh, and she was so like, was just vulnerable. And she said, well, don't you think it's working out? Do you like living with me? Man, it makes me like tear up talking about it, because like this girl, just Rachael, imagining her possibly running through her head that I maybe didn't want to live with her is just like, it's such an unrealistic, hard to grasp scenario or concept, that she would be the one worried about me wanting to live with her. And that's when we decided. I was like, no, I would love to. Are you kidding me? I would love, let's live together for real. And that's around the time we moved into McCarthy's Pub, which were like the honeymoon years for us. But yeah, it was pretty phenomenal stuff. Anyways, I'm so sorry. I was talking about the guitar, the Seagull. So I had pawned the Seagull, and I remember I didn't tell her. And when we moved into McCarthy, she said, "Where's your guitar?" And she asked me, and so I told her, and I told her what happened. And she didn't say anything. She never was judgmental. She just said, "Oh, that sucks," And then the following year, on my birthday, in September, Rachael, when I opened, it was my birthday. She handed me the present she had bought me. It was just like this big card, and it was a handmade card. And when I opened up the card, there was a printout of this beautiful Seagull left-handed guitar, like a computer printed image. And I just thought, that's cool. I thought it was part of her card that she was giving me, like a decoration. But no, that was my present. She had bought me the Seagull guitar that I was just playing at the beginning of this podcast. Which is this is just like a testament to who Rachael was as one of her most memorable characteristics was her gift giving. It was one of the fundamental things